Hey, John here. So I got a question the other day here on my channel about covering some Richie Kotzen stuff. And to be honest, I haven't really listened that much to Richie Kotzen, but pretty much when I started to play, or maybe a year or so into it, I got his instructional video. I think it's called Rock Chops, something similar. I actually got it on VHS. Yes, I'm that old. And in that video, he shows a lot of legato stuff because that's, a big part of his style. And one lick in particular really helped my legato playing a lot. And it sounds like this. So, since it helped me so much back in the day, maybe it will do the same for you. It does a couple of things for you if you work on it. The legato technique, of course, but also an ability to visualize the scales in a different way, where it's not only 3 notes per string or the cage system or whatever. And you're gonna see soon why that is. So let's just go through it very slowly at first. I don't have tabs for this one, it's not really needed, because once you know the first octave of this, you can just do the same thing in the remaining 2 octaves. And I'm gonna show you everything, so don't worry about that. So we're in F sharp minor, and we start here on the root. And the actual scale shape we're gonna be using here, I think it's easier if you know that first, because we're gonna have a 14, 12, 10, 9 on the high E strings. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 notes on the high E string. And then on the B string, we're gonna have 12, 10, and then 9. And the notes here in relationship to the scale, so F sharp minor scale or any natural minor scale will have this structure. So you're gonna have the root note, second, flat third, 4, 5, flat 6, and then flat 7. And we start here on the root, so we got 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5, and then we're gonna have 4, flat 3, and 2. And then, like I said a minute ago, we're gonna repeat this in octaves. Then we just end up here on this F sharp. So this is the new 1, right? So we just repeat the same thing, because these string pairs are tuned in fourths. So you're good. You don't have to worry about compensating for the G and B string here, right? Except for the transition from the top here will be 1 fret down compared to the other one. But that's fairly easy to see, and basically you can just visualize the octaves like this. So you want to look out for the root note, because that's where this whole pattern starts. So the scale going down here then would just be exactly the same shape, just starting on the 11th fret. And then same thing from the F sharp here on the A string, so that's gonna be, and then out of view of the camera. So the actual pattern then we're gonna apply to this scale shape is gonna go like this. We're gonna start with this Yngwie type pattern. And that's gonna be, if we number the notes from left to right, so it's not the fingering here. 1, 2, 3. Then the pattern is 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Right, and then after we do that once, now you need to slide. So, and then from this note you're gonna go, so all together. And this is actually a good thing to practice on its own. And really focus on the accuracy when you practice this. So practice slowly, and you'll find that it's way easier to get it up to speed that way, instead of just trying to be on like the verge of being able to play it. Because what that will also do is build the tension in your hand if you do it too quickly, or whatever your limit is. So you want to find what feels good to you, and then repeat that a lot. And then once in a while, try it faster and maybe even go between, get that and that. And then once you get this thing, another thing that's really good to practice is to start from here and go. Now, I don't pick anything except the first note here, so basically it's all hammer-ons from nowhere when you start a new string. And you can pick it, of course. And one thing you can try, and I believe I did this when I started doing it, way back in the day, when my hammer-ons from nowhere they weren't that great. I used to pick at least this note when I restarted everything, so I would go. So that's going to be up to you. You can try different things, and of course, if you feel the need, you can absolutely pick whenever you change strings. So, whoops. So this thing then, if you can get these two together, that part and then you just practice that in each of the octaves. And really try to steer clear of any excess tension in the left hand, because that was a big problem I had seeing Steve Vai and doing stuff like that. I'm like, how does it do that? Because I used to practice my legato like really pushing down hard, because it sounded all right at a slow tempo, but I didn't realize that when you play stuff like this, to be able to do that with control and not have your hand fall off, you need to be relaxed. So please keep that in mind. That will help you a lot, and will help you skip a lot of the trouble I had getting this stuff up to speed. It's very important to practice this in each of the octaves individually, because it feels very different to play here on the G string compared to the high E string, for example. So another tip here is that whenever I want to practice something over and over again, it feels much better to be able to loop it instead of having to stop in between each rep. So for this one, it's fairly easy to do. Right? But this one, it's kind of awkward to loop that. So what I would do instead is to add the first, go that far on the basically the next octave. But that's also a great practice, because then you're really connecting these two octaves in a more secure way, because you're a few notes into the next octave. And you can repeat that down here as well, of course. So the loop then that I will practice would be this. Start from this note, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th note of the pattern. And in this case, I would actually pick this note at least, so, whoops. And that loop is actually way harder for me to do than just keep going. Right, so that's a good thing in this case, because it really helps your overall legato to get better. So the two groups we have are these two. And this one. So if you didn't catch this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the top B string, 1, 2, 3 on the B string, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 on the G string. And then you just repeat that on the next string group. So, because now you've connected the whole thing here. So you would do, and then this one, the repeated one. And this one is actually easier because you don't need to shift as much with your index finger when you go back to the loop. So you have... And then you continue on down. And this one, we run out of strings, at least I do. If you have a 7 string, you could actually end like that on the 7 string if you want, but I don't have that, so I have to go down another slide here, but that's fine. Whoops. So the way I would break up this would just be this one is normal, but then I would do and then in this case I would be fine with just stopping it, even though, you know, ideally I would like to just loop something. And if I really wanted to loop this one, I could just go right. Another thing to keep in mind here, that this type of legato is kind of like the... it's not exactly the same, but it's closer to Joe Satriani's style of rhythmic phrasing, right? So it's not, you know, the more subdivided modern legato you would hear from Brett Garsed, Tom Quayle, and so on. So it's more, you know, kind of just going for it. And also this grouping here is, it's 7 notes or 14 notes before you start it in the next octave. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, if you wanted to sort of end up on the beat. So inherent in the actual lick itself or sequence itself is kind of, you know, odd numbered as it is. So the way that I would use it, just go for it. Whoops. And you don't have to go all the way down, of course. It's just a way to visualize it all over the neck. So the next step for you, and I want you to figure this out by yourself, is to just continue up the scale, right? So we're in F sharp minor. If you want to change it to E minor, if that's easier for you to do, so you have this one then. Whoops. And then you end on the low E string if you want to go the whole way. But if you do it in E minor, for example. So what you do then, you simply go to the next scale step. So everything in this lick moves up 1 scale degree. So if you know the E minor scale, you can just go, because now you have a whole step here in between instead, because you have the second note, root note, flat 7, flat 6. So this is where it really helps to be aware of scale degrees, and or at least what the scale looks like on a single string, because then you can figure it out way quicker. But don't be too overwhelmed if you're not aware of this stuff now. Instead, just remember that once you figure out the higher octave, it will be the same starting on the same note. So and you know, all these won't sound as good as the first one, or you might even find variations here that sound better than the original ones. It's always a good thing to do this with any type of sequence that you learn, whether it's an arpeggio or scale-based sequence. Just move it up in that key first, and then find your favorites, and then try changing the modes as well. So maybe if we try this in harmonic minor and start from the third. You know, something like that. And that, if you like the sound of that, it's just this. So you have 15, 14, 12, 11, and then you have 13, 12, 10. So that's the scale shape, and the notes in relation to the key here would be flat 3, 2, 1, natural 7, because that's what we had with harmonic minor, flat 6, 5, and flat, and the 4th. So, and then you just apply the same pattern. And we start here. as ended here on the 5th. So you can just play around with that, but I highly suggest that you go through it in one key first before starting changing everything, because it can become quite overwhelming if you do too much at once. But just doing that in one key will teach you so much about the layout of the guitar, and especially doing it in these kind of 3-octave ways. So that's what I meant in the beginning of the video, where I said this really helped me view the neck in a different way as well. Because up to that point, I had learned the 3-note per string scales, and I worked on them to, single string patterns as well. But connecting it in this way, I hadn't really done much of before. But it's reminded me kind of some of the English pattern as well. So it wasn't totally unfamiliar with it, but seeing this in a more normal modal setting was quite eye-opening for me. Back in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 note per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well, and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book, you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I use myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So I know these exercises work as long as you put in the work. So it's not a quick solution or quick fix. It will still take a lot of work, but at least you have a very easy to follow routine. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade in 2024, I cannot think of a better start.